Okay, chapter 10 to employers. We're going to do a little recap before we start. So tell me, what is the problem?
Problem is, what is the problem?
What is the problem?
It's a twofold illness.
That's right. Tell me a bit more about the twofold illness.
It's an obsession of the mind and an allergy of the body.
An obsession of the mind and an allergy of the body. That's right. Tell me a bit more about the obsession of the mind.
We feel restless, irritable and discontent and have a desire to soothe how we feel.
That's right. What happens when we tap on that desire to soothe?
It activates the second part of the disease, which is the allergy of the body or phenomenon of craving.
The name is the phenomenon of craving. So remember, the allergy associated to nut allergy is anaphylactic shock. The allergy, the allergy of the body associated with alcohol and drugs, and I would also argue with behavioral, is the phenomenon of craving. So when people say, "Oh, I'm having a craving," they are probably using the wrong word, because they would probably not tell you that they're having a craving. They would be probably drinking. So they merely have a desire. What is the solution to our problem?
Working the 12 steps.
We walk the 12 steps. We take the steps. What happens as a result of the steps?
We have a spiritual awakening or psychic change or personality change.
That's right. So what does that mean in terms of a twofold illness? To have a spiritual awakening.
We have lost the obsession to...
The obsession has been removed. That's right. But the physical allergy remains. We are recovered. We're not cured, because the second part of the illness will still be there. The physical allergy will still be there. But if the obsession to drink, to drug, and to act out on the symptoms is removed, then you're not going to be acting on that phenomenon of craving, on that physical allergy. This is not going to occur. Okay, so now I'm sober. I'm recovered, but I'm an asshole. I keep acting on my defect of character. I'm still very angry. I'm still lying. I'm still deceitful. How do I go from being recovered to emotionally recovered?
We practice the design for living.
Thank you. What is the design for living?
I'm going to carry the message to another alcoholic, practice principles, and practice assets.
Carry, practice, carry, practice, carry, practice. Okay, chapter 10.
To employers. Among many employers nowadays, we think of one member who has spent much of his life in the world of big business. He has hired and fired hundreds of men. He knows the alcoholic as the employer sees him. His present views ought to prove exceptionally useful to businessmen everywhere. But let him tell you. I was at one time assistant manager of a corporation department employing 6,600 men. One day my secretary came in saying that Mr. B insisted on speaking with me. I told her to say that I was not interested. I had warned him several times that he had but one more chance. Not long afterwards, he had called me from Hartford on 2 successive days, so drunk he could hardly speak. I told him he was through, finally and forever. My secretary returned to say that it was not Mr. B on the phone, it was Mr. B's brother, and he wished to give me a message. I still expected a plea for clemency, but these words came through the receiver. I just wanted to tell you, Paul jumped from a hotel window in Hartford last Saturday. He left us a note saying you were the best boss he ever had and that you were not to blame in any way.
Right, can you please highlight this? So I just wanted to tell you that Paul jumped from the hotel window in Hartford last Saturday. He left us a note saying you were the best boss he ever had and that you were not to blame in any way. Well, I think I would feel a little bit guilty if it was me. Still.
Another time, as I opened a letter which lay on my desk, a newspaper clipping fell out. It was the obituary of one of the best salesmen I'd ever had. After 2 weeks of drinking, he had placed his toe on the trigger of a loaded shotgun. The barrel was in his mouth. I had discharged him for drinking 6 weeks before.
Can you highlight, please? It was the obituary of one of the best salesmen I've ever had. After 2 weeks of drinking, he had placed his toes on the trigger of a loaded shotgun. The barrel was in his mouth. I had discharged him for drinking 6 weeks before.
Still another experience. A woman's voice came faintly over long distance from Virginia. She wanted to know if her husband's company insurance was still in force. 4 days before, he had hanged himself in a woodshed. I had been obliged to discharge him for drinking, though he was brilliant, alert, and one of the best organisers I'd ever known. Here were 3 exceptional men lost to this world because I did not understand alcoholism as I
Okay,
do
can you
now.
go back and highlight, please? She wanted to know if her husband company insurance was still in force, all the way to the best organizers I have ever known.
What irony, I became an alcoholic myself.
Can you highlight, I became an alcoholic myself?
And but for the intervention of an understanding person, I might have followed in their footsteps.
Can you highlight an understanding person? So what sort of a person would you say?
A recovered alcoholic.
Maybe a recovered alcoholic, yeah, or somebody who has experience of working or knowing alcoholics who have recovered.
I might have followed in their footsteps. My downfall cost the business community unknown thousands of dollars, for it takes real money to train a man for an executive position. This kind of waste goes on unabated. We think the business fabric is shot through with a situation which might be helped by better understanding all around. Nearly every modern employer feels a moral responsibility for the well-being of his help, and he tries to meet these responsibilities. That he has not always done so for the alcoholic is easily understood. To him, the alcoholic has often seemed a fool of the first magnitude. Because of the employee's special ability, or of his own strong personal attachment to him, the employer has sometimes kept such a man at work long beyond a reasonable period. Some employers have tried every known remedy. In only a few instances has there been a lack of patience and tolerance. And we who have imposed on the best employers can scarcely blame them if they have been short with us. Here, for instance, is a typical example. An officer of one of the largest banking institutions in America knows I no longer drink. One day he told me about an executive of the same bank who, from his description, was undoubtedly alcoholic. This seemed to me like an opportunity to be helpful, so I spent 2 hours talking about alcoholism, the malady, and described the symptoms and the results as well I could.
Okay, can you highlight, please? This seemed to me like an opportunity to be helpful. So I spent 2 hours talking about alcoholism, the malady, the twofold illness, and described the symptoms and result as best as I could.
His comment was, "Very interesting, but I'm sure this man is done drinking. He has just returned from 3 months' leave of absence, has taken a cure, looks fine, and to clinch the matter, the board of directors told him this was his last chance." The only answer I could make was that if the man followed the usual pattern, he would go on a bigger bust than ever. I felt this was inevitable and wondered if the bank was doing the man an injustice. Why not bring him into contact with some of our alcoholic crowd? He might have a chance. I pointed out that I had had nothing to drink for 3 years, and this in the face of difficulties that would have made 9 out of 10 men drink their heads off. Why not at least afford him an opportunity to hear my story? "Oh no," said my friend, "this chap is either through with liquor or he is minus a job. If he has your willpower and guts, he will make the grade."
Can you please highlight, why not bring him into contact with some of our alcoholic crowd, all the way to, if he has your willpower and guts, he will make the grade. Remember, then willpower won't help us. Self-knowledge avails us nothing either.
I wanted to throw up my hands in discouragement, for I saw that I had failed to help my banker friend understand. He simply could not believe that this brother executive suffered from a serious illness. There was nothing to do but wait. Presently the man did slip and was fired. Following his discharge, we contacted him. Without much ado, he accepted the principles and procedure that had helped us. He is undoubtedly on the road to recovery.
Okay, can you highlight, please? Presently, the man did slip and was fired. Following his discharge, we contacted him. Without much ado, he accepted the principle and procedure that had helped us. He is undoubtedly on the road to recovery.
To me, this incident illustrates lack of understanding as to what really ails the alcoholic, and lack of knowledge as to what part employers might profitably take in salvaging their sick employees. If you desire to help, it might be well to disregard your own drinking or lack of it. Whether you are a hard drinker, a moderate drinker, or a teetotaler, you may have some pretty strong opinions, perhaps prejudices. Those who drink moderately may be more annoyed with an alcoholic than a total abstainer would be. Drinking occasionally and understanding your own reactions, it is possible for you to become quite sure of many things which, so far as the alcoholic is concerned, are not always so. As a moderate drinker, you can take your liquor or leave it alone. Whenever you want to, you control your drinking. Of an evening, you can go on a mild bender, get up in the morning, shake your head and go to business. To you, liquor is no real problem. You cannot see why it should be to anyone else, save the spineless and stupid.
Can you highlight, please? To you, liquor is no real problems. You cannot see why it should be to anyone else, save the spineless and stupid.
When dealing with an alcoholic, there may be a natural annoyance that a man could be so weak, stupid and irresponsible. Even when you understand the malady better, you may feel this feeling arising.
Can you highlight, please? When dealing with an alcoholic, there may be a natural annoyance that a man could be so weak, stupid, and irresponsible. Even when you understand the malady better, you may feel this feeling arising.
A look at the alcoholic in your organisation is many times illuminating. Is he not usually brilliant, fast-thinking, imaginative, and likeable? When sober, does he not work hard and have a knack for getting things done? If he had these qualities and did not drink, would he be worth retaining? Should he have the same consideration as other ailing employees? Is he worth salvaging? If your decision is yes, whether the reason be humanitarian or business, or both, then the following suggestions might be helpful.
Can you highlight, please? If he had these qualities and did not drink, would he be worth retaining? All the way to, if your decision is yes, whether the reason be humanitarian or business or both, then the following suggestions may be helpful.
Can you disregard the feeling that you are dealing only with habit, with stubbornness or weak will? If this presents difficulty, rereading chapters 2 and 3, where the alcoholic sickness is discussed at length, might be worthwhile.
Okay, can you highlight? If this presents difficulty, rereading chapters 2 and 3, where the alcoholic sickness is discussed at length, might be worthwhile. Do you remember what chapter 2 is? What is the...
There is a solution.
There is a solution. There is a solution, chapter 2, and chapter 3 is...
More about alcohol? No?
More about alcoholism, that's right. Chapter 2, there is a solution. Chapter 3, more about alcoholism. Remember, there is a wealth of information in these chapters, and we are already able to do our step 1 in these chapters, remember.
You, as a businessman, want to know the necessities before considering the result. If you concede that your employee is ill, can he be forgiven for what he has done in the past? Can his past absurdities be forgotten? Can it be appreciated that he has been the victim of crooked thinking directly caused by the action of alcohol on his brain? I well remember the shock I received when a prominent doctor in Chicago told me of cases where pressure of the spinal fluid actually ruptured the brain. No wonder an alcoholic is strangely irrational. Who wouldn't be with such a fevered brain? Normal drinkers are not so affected, nor can they understand the aberrations of the alcoholic.
Okay, can you highlight? Normal drinkers are not so affected, nor can they understand the aberrations of the alcoholic.
Your man has probably been trying to conceal a number of scrapes, perhaps pretty messy ones. These may be disgusting. You may be at a loss to understand how such a seemingly above-board chap could be so involved. But these scrapes can generally be charged, no matter how bad, to the abnormal action of alcohol on his mind. When drinking or getting over a bout, an alcoholic, sometimes the model of honesty when normal, will do incredible things. Afterward, his revulsion will be terrible. Nearly always these antics indicate nothing more than temporary conditions. This is not to say that all alcoholics are honest and upright when not drinking. Of course this isn't so, and such people often may impose on you. Seeing your attempt to understand and help, some men will try to take advantage of your kindness. If you are sure your man does want to stop, he may as well be discharged, the sooner the better. You are not doing him a favour by keeping him on. Firing such an individual may prove a blessing to him. It may be just the jolt he needs.
Okay, can you highlight the whole paragraph, please? This is not to say that all alcoholics are honest and upright when not drinking, all the way to it may be just the jolt he needs.
I know in my own particular case that nothing my company could have done would have stopped me for so long I was able to hold my position. I could not possibly realise how serious my situation was. Had they fired me first, and had they taken steps to see that I was presented with the solution contained in this book, I might have returned to them 6 months later a well man.
Can you highlight, please? Had they fired me first, and had they then taken steps to see that I was presented with the solution contained in this book, I might have returned to them 6 months later a well man. And can you please underline with a pencil, and had they taken steps to see that I was presented with the solution content in this book. There are companies out there who are actually providing rehabs and who are helping their staff. So a few companies do that out there.
But there are many men who want to stop, and with them you can go far. Your understanding treatment of their cases will pay dividends. Perhaps you have such a man in mind. He wants to quit drinking and you want to help him, even if it be only a matter of good business. You now know more about alcoholism. You can see that he is mentally and physically sick. You are willing to overlook his past performances. Suppose an approach is made something like this. State that you know about his drinking and that it must stop. You say you appreciate his abilities, would like to keep him, but cannot if he continues to drink. A firm attitude at this point has helped many of us. Next, you can be assured that you do not intend to lecture, moralise or condemn. That if this was done formally, it was because of misunderstanding. If possible, express a lack of hard feeling towards him. At this point, it might be well to explain alcoholism, the illness. Say that you believe he is a gravely ill person with this qualification. Being perhaps fatally ill, does he want to get well? You ask because many alcoholics, being warped and drugged, do not want to quit, but does he? Will he take every necessary step, submit to anything to get well, to stop drinking forever?
Can you highlight, please? At this point, it might be well to explain alcoholism, the illness, all the way to, but does he? Will he take every necessary step, submit to anything to get well, to stop drinking forever? And again, they don't approach people and say to them, you're going to stop drinking a day at a time. They're just telling them, that's it. If you have a twofold illness, you cannot possibly drink again. Simple.
If he says yes, does he really mean it? Or down inside, does he think he's fooling you? And that after rest and treatment, he will be able to get away with a few drinks now and then. We believe a man should be thoroughly probed on these points. Be satisfied he is not deceiving himself or you. Whether you mention this book is a matter for your discretion. If he temporises and still thinks he can ever drink again, even beer, he might as well be discharged after the next bender, which, if an alcoholic, he is almost certain to have. He should understand that emphatically. Either you are dealing with a man who can and will get well, or you are not. If not, why waste your time with him? This may seem severe, but it is usually the best course. After satisfying yourself that your man wants to recover and that he will go to any extreme to do so, you may suggest a definite course of action. For most alcoholics who are drinking or who are just getting over a spree, a certain amount of physical treatment is desirable, even imperative. The matter of physical treatment should of course be referred to your own doctor. Whatever the method, its object is to thoroughly clear mind and body of the effects of alcohol. In competent hands, this seldom takes long, nor is it very expensive. Your man will fare better if placed in such physical condition that he can think straight and no longer craves liquor. If you propose such a procedure to him, it may be necessary to advance the cost of treatment, but we believe it should be made plain that any expense will later be deducted from his pay. It is better for him to feel fully responsible. If your man accepts your offer, it should be pointed out that physical treatment is but a small part of the picture. Though you are providing him with the best possible medical attention, he should understand that he must undergo a change of heart. To get over drinking will require a transformation of thought and attitude.
Okay, can you highlight, please? If your man accepts your offer, it should be pointed out that physical treatment is but a small part of the picture. Can you highlight all the way to get over drinking will require a transformation of thought and attitude? And can you write page 27? Can somebody turn to page 27 for us and read the paragraph which we've been reading throughout the walk?
Here and there, once in a while, alcoholics have had what are called vital spiritual experiences. To me, these occurrences are phenomena. They appear to be in the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. Ideas, emotions, and attitudes which were once the guiding forces of the lives of these men are suddenly cast to one side, and a completely new set of conceptions and motives begins to dominate them.
Okay, so the last phrase highlighted in this paragraph is together the drinking will require a transformation of thoughts and attitude. This is the only way we can bring about that change necessary to recover, to become recovered.
We all had to place recovery above everything, for without recovery we would have lost both home and business.
And that's right, can you please highlight all of this? We all had to place recovery above everything, for without recovery we've got nothing.
Can you have every confidence in his ability to recover?
Can you highlight, please, his ability to recover?
While on the subject of confidence, can you adopt the attitude that so far as you are concerned, this will be a strictly personal matter, that his alcoholic derelictions, the treatment about to be undertaken, will never be discussed without his consent?
Can you highlight, please, the treatment about to be undertaken will never be discussed without his consent?
It might be well to have a long chat with him on his return. To return to the subject matter of this book, it contains full suggestions by which the employee may solve his problem. To you, some of the ideas which it contains are novel. Perhaps you are not quite in sympathy with the approach we suggest. By no means do we offer it as a last word on this subject, but so far as we are concerned, this has worked with us. After all, are you not looking for results rather than methods? Whether your employee likes it or not, he will learn the grim truth about alcoholism. That won't hurt him a bit, even though he does not go for this remedy. We suggest you draw the book to the attention of the doctor who is to attend your patient during treatment. If the book is read the moment the patient is able, while accurately depressed, realization of his condition may come to him. We hope the doctor will tell the patient the truth about his condition, whatever that happens to be. When the man is presented with this volume, it is best that no one tell him he must abide by its suggestions. The man must decide for himself.
Okay, can you highlight, please? When the man is presented with this volume, it is best that no one tell him he must abide by his suggestions. The man must decide for himself.
You are betting, of course, that your changed attitude plus the contents of this book will turn the trick. In some cases it will, and in others it may not. But we think that if you persevere, the percentage of successes will gratify you.
Can you highlight, please? In some cases it will, and in others it may not. But we think that if you persevere, the percentage of successes will gratify you.
As our work spreads and our numbers increase, we hope your employees may be put in personal contact with some of us. Meanwhile, we are sure a great deal can be accomplished by the use of the book alone.
Okay, can you highlight this, please? Meanwhile, we are sure a great deal can be accomplished by the use of the book alone. So, you see, it's very interesting because nowadays people come to meetings and they're told, well, come and do a 90 meetings in 90 days, the 1990 idea. And I have nothing against the idea of the 1990, but for me the 1990 supports you as you walk the program of recovery. So when you come to the meeting, somebody says, okay, every day come to the meeting, but as we do the program of recovery, I want you to walk with me. I want you to go through the book with me. It would be like me, I'm HIV positive, saying, well, I know there are treatments available today for people with my condition, is going to the hospital and saying, I know you have a treatment probably for me and this treatment will save my life. But then the doctor says to me, well, yes, we have a treatment that could save your life within 30 days. However, we want you to come back every day and have tea, coffee and biscuit with us. And in 90 days, we will make a decision if you are deserving of having that treatment that will save your life. That doesn't make sense to me. It absolutely doesn't make sense to me. This is insane. So when people come to meeting, they should be provided with a copy of the book and they should be guided through the program of recovery. And here it's telling us the book alone has done wonders, but we need somebody to carry that message.
On your employee's return, talk with him. Ask him if he thinks he has the answer. If he feels free to discuss his problems with you, if he knows you understand and will not be upset by anything he wishes to say, he will probably be off to a fast start. In this connection, you can remain undisturbed if the man proceeds to tell you shocking things. He may, for example, reveal that he has padded his expense account or that he has planned to take your best customers away from you. In fact, he may say almost anything if he has accepted our solution, which, as you know, demands rigorous honesty.
That's why can you highlight? In fact, he may say almost anything he has accepted, if he has accepted our solution, which, as you know, demands rigorous honesty. What is the principle one of the program?
Honesty.
That's right. Can you underline with a pencil? Demands rigorous honesty.
Can you charge this off as you would a bad account and start fresh with him? If he owes you money, you may wish to make terms. If he speaks of his home situation, you can undoubtedly make helpful suggestions. Can he talk frankly with you so long as he does not bear business tales or criticise his associates? With this kind of employee, such an attitude will command undying loyalty. The greatest enemies of us alcoholics are resentment, jealousy, envy, frustration, and fear. Wherever men are gathered together in business, there will be rivalries, and arising out of these, a certain amount of office politics.
Okay, can you highlight, please? The greatest enemies of us alcoholic are, can you highlight in different color? Resentment, another color jealousy, another color envy, another color frustration, and fear. And if you already highlighted the whole thing, just underline those bits and pieces. And then I'd like you to continue to highlight with the first color. Whenever men are gathered together in business, there will be rivalries, and rising out of this a certain amount of office politics. What we're saying here, resentment, jealousy, envy, frustration, and fear are part of this makeup of this human being. So try to act on the principles of the program: honesty, hope, faith, courage, and willingness, humility, and so on, and your assets.
Sometimes we alcoholics have an idea that people are trying to pull us down. Often this is not so at all, but sometimes our drinking will be used politically. One instance comes to mind in which a malicious individual was always making friendly little jokes about an alcoholic's drinking exploits. In this way, he was slyly carrying tales. In another case, an alcoholic was sent to a hospital for treatment. Only a few knew of it at first, but within a short time it was billboarded throughout the entire company. Naturally, this sort of thing decreased the man's chances of recovery.
Okay, can you highlight? Naturally, this sort of thing decreased the man's chance of recovery. And this is exactly the same thing in the meetings today. Whichever 12-step meeting you go to, when people start gossiping and start making comments and pointing the finger, what we subsequently do is push them away, and we just remove the chance of them to recover.
The employer can many times protect the victim from this kind of talk. The employer cannot play favourites, but he can always defend a man from needless provocation and unfair criticism.
Can you highlight, please? The employer cannot play favourites, but he can always defend a man from needless provocation and unfair criticism.
As a class, alcoholics are energetic people. They work hard and they play hard.
Can you highlight, as a class, alcoholics are energetic people. They work hard and they play hard.
Your man should be on his mettle to make good. Being somewhat weakened and faced with physical and mental readjustment to a life which knows no alcohol, he may overdo. You may have to curb his desire to work 16 hours a day.
Can you highlight, please? Being somewhat weakened and faced with physical and mental readjustment to life which knows no alcohol, he may overdo. You may have to curb his desire to work 16 hours a day. And this is also, remember, this is another way to soothe the hole in the soul, to soothe the desire because of the obsession of the mind, because it's subtle. Even though it's been removed for the drink and the alcohol, it can be very quickly replaced with a behavioral, or vice versa, from a behavioral addiction to drink and alcohol.
You may need to encourage him to play once in a while. He may wish to do a lot for other alcoholics, and something of the sort may come up during business hours. A reasonable amount of latitude will be helpful. This work is necessary to maintain his sobriety.
Can you highlight all of this, please? You may need to encourage him to play once in a while, all the way to this work is necessary to maintain his sobriety.
After your man has gone along without drinking for a few months, you may be able to make use of his services with other employees who are giving you the alcoholic runaround, provided, of course, they are willing to have a third party in the picture. An alcoholic who has recovered but holds a relatively unimportant job can talk to a man with a better position.
Can you underline recovered? This is your recovered number 15, people. The word recovered has been mentioned 15 times so far. How many times have you seen the word recovering?
Once.
That's right, only once.
Being on a radically different basis of life, he will never take advantage of the situation. Your man may be trusted. Long experience with alcoholic excuses naturally arouses suspicion. When his wife next calls saying he is sick, you might jump to the conclusion he is drunk. If he is and is still trying to recover, he will tell you about it, even if it means the loss of his job, for he knows he must be honest if he would live at all.
Okay, can you highlight? If he is still trying and he's still trying to recover, he will tell you about it, even if it means the loss of his job, for he knows he must be honest if he would live at all.
He will appreciate knowing you are not bothering your head about him, that you are not suspicious, nor are you trying to run his life, so he will be shielded from temptation to drink. If he is conscientiously following the program of recovery, he can go anywhere your business may call him.
Okay, can you highlight? If he is conscientiously following the program of recovery, he can go anywhere your business may call him. What does it mean, following the program of recovery?
Designed for living.
The design for living, that's right.
In case he does stumble even once, you will have to decide whether to let him go. If you are sure he doesn't mean business, there is no doubt you should discharge him. If, on the contrary, you are sure he is doing his utmost, you may wish to give him another chance.
That's right. So, if on the contrary you are sure he is doing his utmost, you may wish to give him another chance. So remember, when you mean business, or when they mean business, it's because you need to continue to show them that they need to work with others. They need to practice the design for living.
But you should feel under no obligation to keep him on, for your obligation has been well discharged already. There is another thing you might wish to do. If your organisation is a large one, your junior executives might be provided with this book. You might let them know that you have no quarrel with the alcoholics of your organisation.
Can you highlight, please? There is another thing you might wish to do. If your organisation is a large one, your junior executive might be providing with this book. You might let them know you have no quarrel with alcoholics of your organisation.
These juniors are often in a difficult position. Men under them are frequently their friends, so for one reason or another they cover these men, hoping matters will take a turn for the better. They often jeopardise their own positions by trying to help serious drinkers who should have been fired long ago, or else given an opportunity to get well.
Okay, can you highlight, please? They often jeopardize their own position by trying to help serious drinkers who should have been fired long ago, or else given an opportunity to get well.
After reading this book, a junior executive can go to such a man and say approximately this: "Look here, Ed. Do you want to stop drinking or not? You put me on the spot every time you get drunk. It isn't fair to me or the firm. I've been learning something about alcoholism. If you are an alcoholic, you are a mighty sick man. You act like one. The firm wants to help you get over it, and if you're interested, there is a way out. If you take it, your past will be forgotten, and the fact that you went away for treatment will not be mentioned.
Can you go back and highlight, please? If you're an alcoholic, you're a mighty sick man. You act like one. Can you please highlight all the way to, if you take it, your past will be forgotten, and the fact that you were away for treatment will not be mentioned.
But if you cannot or will not stop drinking, I think you ought to resign. Your junior executive may not agree with the contents of our book. He need not and often should not show it to his alcoholic prospect, but at least he will understand the problem and will no longer be misled by ordinary promises. He will be able to take a position with such a man which is eminently fair and square. He will have no further reason for covering up an alcoholic employee. It boils right down to this. No man should be fired just because he is alcoholic. If he wants to stop, he should be afforded a real chance. If he cannot or does not want to stop, he should be discharged. The exceptions are few.
Can you highlight, please? It boils right down to this. No man should be fired just because he is alcoholic. If he wants to stop, he should be afforded a real chance. If he cannot or does not want to stop, he should be discharged. The exceptions are few.
We think this method of approach will accomplish several things. It will permit the rehabilitation of good men. At the same time, you will feel no reluctance to rid yourself of those who cannot or will not stop.
Can you highlight, please? It will permit the rehabilitation of good men. At the same time, you will feel no reluctance to rid yourself of those who cannot or will not stop.
Alcoholism may be causing your organisation considerable damage in its waste of time, men and reputation. We hope our suggestions will help you plug up this sometimes serious leak.
Can you highlight, please? We hope our suggestions will help you.
We think we are sensible when we urge that you stop this waste and give your worthwhile man a chance. The other day, an approach was made to the vice president of a large industrial concern. He remarked, "I'm mighty glad you fellows got over your drinking, but the policy of this company is not to interfere with the habits of our employees. If a man drinks so much that his job suffers, we fire him. I don't see how you can be of any help to us, for as you see, we don't have any alcoholic problem." This same company spends millions for research every year. Their cost of production is figured to a fine decimal point. They have recreational facilities. There is company insurance. There is a real interest, both humanitarian and business, in the well-being of employees. But alcoholism, well, they just don't believe they have it. Perhaps this is a typical attitude. We who have collectively seen a great deal of business life, at least from the alcoholic angle, had to smile at this gentleman's sincere opinion. He might be shocked if he knew how much alcoholism is costing his organisation a year.
Can you highlight, please? He might be shocked if he knew how much alcoholism is costing his organization a year.
That company may harbour many actual or potential alcoholics. We believe that managers of large enterprises often have little idea how prevalent the problem is. Even if you feel your organisation has no alcoholic problem, it might pay to take another look down the line. You may make some interesting discoveries.
Can you highlight, please? Even if you feel your organization has no alcoholic problem, it may pay to take another look down the line. You may make some interesting discoveries.
Of course, this chapter refers to alcoholics, sick people, deranged men. What our friend the Vice President had in mind was the habitual or whoopee drinker. As to them, his policy is undoubtedly sound, but he did not distinguish between such people and the alcoholic. It is not to be expected that an alcoholic employee will receive a disproportionate amount of time and attention. He should not be made a favourite. The right kind of man, the kind who recovers, will not want this sort of thing. He will not impose. Far from it. He will work like the devil and thank you to his dying day.
Can you highlight, please, the right kind of mind? The kind who recovers will not want this sort of thing. He will not impose. Far from it. He will walk like the devil and thank you to his dying day.
Today I own a little company. There are 2 alcoholic employees who produce as much as 5 normal salesmen. But why not? They have a new attitude and they've been saved from a living death. I've enjoyed every moment spent in getting them straightened out.
Can you highlight, please, this final para? Today I own a little company. There are 2 alcoholics employees who produce as much as 5 normal salesmen. But why not? They have a new attitude and they have been saved from a living death. I have enjoyed every moment spent in getting them straightened out.